Hi folks, Rob Cadeau here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about musky fishing and specifically reels and the selection of different reels for different techniques and tactics for musky fishing. There's many different setups out there. You have your typical round reels with line counters that we like to use to troll with. Typically these will have a paddle handle on them, a power handle on them, and we'll use them to tow big baits like these jakes or any kind of big crankbaits. Sometimes we'll troll bucktails and different lures as such. Then we move into the teardrop style of reel. These are one of my favorite styles to fish with. This has a nice power handle on it. This particular one has a very high gear ratio on it. It's 8:1 and we would use that for a lot of lures that have less resistance in the water. So for that, we might use it with a topwater bait like this suic that comes through the water very easily, doesn't offer a lot of resistance in the water, so a high gear ratio reel to pick up slack, a safety pin style spinner bait, again with a willow leaf blade so it doesn't have a lot of resistance in the water. So a high speed reel is good for that. Also for walk the dog type topwater lures or jerk baits where you give a jerk and then there's a lot of slack in your line and you want to pick up that slack really fast before you give the next jerk. Then we would go to a lower gear ratio. This one happens to be a 4.9:1. What this is amazing for is pulling those big heavy baits, those big blade baits like double 10 bucktails, even double 12 bucktails. And what I do typically with a reel like that I'm going to use for those big heavy resistance baits is I'll put on one of the power handles that come with it as well. I'm a big fan of the power handles on my musky reels. Some people prefer a paddle handle, but I like a power handle. It gives you a lot more torque with a lot less effort. And with a reel like this with a low gear ratio, I can pull double 12s almost effortlessly all day. It also depends on how you match it up to the rod you're using. You want to make sure you have the proper rod. And when you're pulling big baits, now this is a smaller bucktail, but when you're pulling a big heavy one, you want to make sure you point your rod right at the bait, let the reel do the work, okay? Then I get asked this a lot by people about spinning equipment for musky fishing, okay? One of the things I always keep on my boat is a couple of spinning setups because there's a lot of people who, quite frankly, don't know how to use bait casting equipment properly, okay? So we always have a spinning tackle available to them. And in some techniques, sometimes spinning tackle is a good way to go. Now, this is a relatively small spinning reel as by musky standards. So I would go to a 6,000, 7,000, 7,500 series reel loaded up with heavy braid as we do with most of our setups. And with that type of a setup, you could, with a proper heavy rod, you could pull smaller bucktails like double 6s, double 8s even, possibly. Again, low resistance baits like this suic, right? Where bang, pick up slack, bang, pick up slack. There isn't a lot of resistance to that bait. Again, topwaters are great with a spinning rod as well. So that's my tips on proper musky reel selection. Again, my name is Rob Cadeau, and I hope this helps you out. Have a great day.